All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show. So what I'm going to call this podcast is Most People Are Hypocrites. And you may get upset at that, or you may disagree with me, but I can assure you most people are. Regarding one thing or another, I promise you there are people that, what they're saying and what they're doing is not what they're doing. That I can assure you. I don't care if it's in the political realm, the religious realm, or it could be your family members, friends, or colleagues. And I learned this at a very young age, especially being around my mother, who, I was around a lot of people that were very, very religious or claimed to be, that weren't as religious as you think. I also was around my father, who owned a bar nightclub, that were also people claiming to be certain things that they were not, or behaving a certain way, especially when drinking or doing drugs. So it's interesting when you're younger, though, a lot of times you don't see a lot of things because you're always kind of being protected, especially when it comes to adults. You're kind of, for the most part, a lot of times, unless you're with your parents, aunts and uncles or whatever, you're around kids. I was, for the most part, around a lot of adults. I had a massive family, and a lot of my adult uncles and even my aunts would take me to a lot of places. I think as I was an only child, my mother being divorced, they would scoop me up and take me all over different places. And even if I was, staying at a lot of different family members' houses and things, I really kind of enjoyed that. I wasn't somebody who had 2, 3 brothers at home or had a mother and father at the same time home, which as time went on, I actually enjoyed. I've discussed this, my mother and father getting a divorce because I got attention from both of them, and I lived an entirely different lifestyle with a bunch of different family members and friends, which was amazing. But I learned a lot about behavior. And I think a lot of people don't realize their behavior or self-awareness, especially when preaching about others. Because again, behind closed doors, again, what you're saying or what you're saying about others, a lot of times their faults or their issues are your issues. And a lot of times people like to talk shit about other people because it either makes them feel better about who they are, but a lot of times, as you know, they're not in no better place themselves. And I'm not going to sit here and start digging on everybody and how they, gossip and all these different types of things. But, the quicker you realize, too, the more your mind is kind of open to understanding other people's behaviors and why they do the things they do, which is very hard at times. But I discuss this a lot. You got to understand a lot of people are putting up with your bullshit behavior. And it's not just the behavior, let's say, at this point in time. Because this is one thing that I find quite interesting with a lot of people is they don't realize the different personality traits or the different things that they fall into regarding their life, throughout their life, and how other people have to deal with them. For instance, a lot of times you may have friends that became, or family members or even colleagues that become religious, and they're this way. They almost change. Their personality changes, then everybody else to them maybe sinning or maybe doing things that they don't agree with. And then as time goes on, they kind of slip out of that. Then they kind of come back. It's almost like it was a phase or a spell they were under. And the next thing they could be into, I'll just use fitness, for instance. Then all of a sudden they're kind of into fitness and this and that and kind of judging everybody there, and then they're out. Or it could be a career. They took on this profession, right? And, all these different types of things, and they're all gung-ho in there. And you may be one of these people too. You don't realize it because you're the one going through it. Right? You're not looking at it from the outside in. I think, too, a lot of us talk so much shit about what you would or wouldn't do or what you are or not doing when you're doing it. And here's the deal. Most people are looking at you like you're an asshole. Behind closed doors. They know who you are. They know what you do. Especially when it comes to religion. Maybe even politics. Did I say that earlier? But with religion, a lot of people preaching or pretending there's something they're not. It comes down to, I don't want to make, specifics here. But, a lot of times people will say, I would never accept this, right? And then in their life, they're confronted with it where they have to accept it. Or I would never do this. Then something happens in their life, they end up doing that. I'm not even saying good or bad. I'm just saying they do it. A lot of times we have to realize life is long, and a lot of things that we may believe now, we may not believe in the future. One of the reasons is we may not have the knowledge yet. So a lot of things you may believe may not be truthful, but then again, there's a lot of things you don't know that probably are knowledgeable. Did I screw that up? Well, anyways. My point being is a lot of times we don't have the information that we need. We also want to sometimes exclude everything because we think it's bad or we think there's something wrong with it. But once you try it, again, it doesn't have to be bad. Once you try it, you enjoy it, right? Or you may be put in a position, for instance, I'll just throw it. A lot of people think, let's get realistic here. Say even somebody who says I can never get, sleep with someone until I get married. It's kind of ridiculous. And maybe you've done that and maybe it worked out. But if it didn't work out for you, you got to think about these things, especially a lot of people said they would never get a divorce. You get a divorce, right? I would never, become an alcoholic or drink that much. You may become an alcoholic. You may have addictions. I would never get addicted to gambling. It's just a fun thing. Before you know it, you're a Gamblers Anonymous. I'm just saying, I would never become obese or fat. You get really overweight, right? I'm just saying, and this is kind of funny too with pornography and stuff. So many dudes I know and women pretend like they don't watch porn, and they do. It's the most viewed thing on the internet. Let's stop bullshitting each other. Let's stop kind of talk about hypocrite, really kind of acting one way publicly. Now, I'm not telling you to run around and be naked or act like a fool, but you have to understand, the more honest I think you are with yourself and having the patience to deal with others, the better off you're going to be. That a lot of times your friends or family members, they are going to do things that you don't always agree with. It does not make them bad people. It doesn't mean they should be casted out. Because most likely you do things, again, either privately or you may have done things in your life where maybe you should have been casted out, but no one did that. But I'm going to cut this kind of short. And what I had one more thing I was going to say, but that's okay. If you have any questions or comments, just hit me up at richcelenza.com. When I do these podcasts, I like to just go at them. I don't like to edit them. I just kind of want it to be exactly what it is. But if you have one trait that I think would help you in your life is learning not only to accept who you are, is being more open-minded to accept others. Doing things that necessarily you don't always agree with. Now, I'm not telling you to hurt yourself or let others hurt you, but also being there for people a lot of times when maybe they're going through certain things. Because I think a lot of times we all have problems. There's no question about that. But a lot of times, like if you do have somebody that is drinking maybe too much or has bad habits, a lot of times we want to be like, get the F away from me. You're out of control. You're disrupting my life. You're a bad influence, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But also maybe not taking such a hard stance. And I know it's hard and just saying, listen, I know you have a drinking problem. I'm here for you. But please, understand that I'm not comfortable being in this position, but I still love you and I will try to help you in the future or maybe even now. It's two totally different approaches. I think a lot of times when it comes to dealing with people, and the more, again, open-minded and the more you kind of just put yourself in their shoes, the more I think it's going to help a lot of others. I'm going to wrap it up there. I wish everyone nothing but the best.